Ruben Marmolion's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a black and white US horror movie from 1931. The first sound adaptation of the same-named novel, with an impressive Oscar-winning performance by Frederick March, was groundbreaking in terms of dramaturgy and effects, as in the use of the subjective camera, aka point-of-view shots, also an early form of split screen, or in the for the time spectacularly staged transformation scenes, which still hold up. It more than doubled its $535,000 budget, unusually high for a horror movie at the time, just in the US, and is widely regarded as its best realization to date. In Robert Louis Stevenson's 1886 Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a London lawyer, John Utterson, investigates a series of strange incidents between his old friend, the kind-hearted, highly respected, successful Dr. Henry Jekyll, and the murderous criminal Hyde, when Jekyll changes his will in favor of Edward Hyde and leaves it with Utterson. In the course of the convoluted story, which is made up of letters and flashbacks, structured like a criminal case, Mr. Hyde, wanted for the incidental murder of Sir Danvers Carey, one of Utterson's clients, commits suicide in Dr. Jekyll's house, and Utterson learns from a farewell letter that he had lived out his repressed evil side by means of an experiment in the form of the small, deformed, ruthless Mr. Hyde. But at some point, even without the unspecified substance whose effect on the retransformation gradually diminished, he turned into Hyde, which is why Jekyll practically left his alter ego Hyde with only the prospect of prison with the death penalty or suicide. In addition to a split personality, the excellent novel also describes the two sides of 1886 London. Dr. Jekyll lives in the wealthy part, while Mr. Hyde, mainly relatively unmolested, wreaks havoc in the poor criminal quarter of Soho, but commits, due to his unruliness, a murder in the rich quarter. The author criticizes the conventions of the Victorian era. He leaves it to imagination which desires Jekyll voluntarily indulged in guise of Hyde. And also addresses general addictive behavior. It is one of the most famous English works which has strongly influenced literature and pop culture. The expression Jekyll and Hyde describes outwardly good people with a second dark side, has its own genre, and has been varied and filmed countless times, but mainly for dramatical reasons, never really true to the original. There were already several silent movie adaptations before 1931, such as Der Januskopf by Friedrich Murnau in 1920. See also his unauthorized Dracula, Nosferatu, which are considered lost except for the following four. The 12-minute US horror Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from 1912 dispenses with a lawyer friend and invents a fiancée. In the novel, apart from a little girl who is run over in the introduction, a street vendor who is treated rudely, and a maid who witnesses the accidental murder of one of Utterson's clients, there are no female characters. Hyde, who at one point can no longer change back as his substance has run out, is here convicted by the police after the murder of her father, and after committing suicide, found in Jekyll's lap.
No use in lecturing them or in threatening them. They will just say, who are you? Is that a question or not? And you see that the plot is predictable, not new, but just a stunt at the things you will do.
Again with a fiancé, but with considerably more from the book. The poor portrayal of Hyde, however, comes off unintentionally funny, not terrifying. The following year's same-named US production lasts 26 minutes. In the rightly forgotten first Universal monster film, Hyde, as in the original, uses a note in Jekyll's handwriting for his employees. Rents a room from which he operates. Utterson becomes suspicious because of the incident with a child in the book. A relative tells him about it, and there is an altered will. Similar to the novel, he asks professional colleague / old friend Lanyon for help, who witnesses the retransformation. In the original, he dies shortly after through the shock, and here too he unsuccessfully searches the city for the missing ingredients for his substance, and found dead at the end.
No use in taking their time or in wasting 2 dimes on a call to God knows who. When all you feel is the rain and it's hard to be vain when no person looks at you. So just be gracious and wait in the queue.
A 40-minute movie, also known as the Sheldon Lewis version, was published in 1920, but only half of the material has survived. This again involves his fiancée, he kills a rival and later someone who tries to defend her, and in this version Hyde is arrested by the police at the end. The synopsis tells us that he also ends up in the electric chair, but then the whole plot turns out to be a dream, and Jekyll, under its impression, decides not to carry out his intended chemistry experiment.
So when do I get to sing my way? When do I get to feel like Sinatra? When do I get to sing my way in heaven or hell? So when do I get to do it my way? When do I get to feel like Sid Vicious stuff? When do I get to sing my way in heaven or hell?
In the same year, 1 month earlier, the first full-length Jekyll and Hyde feature by John S. Robertson has a runtime of 79 minutes. John Barrymore gives an impressive performance as Jekyll and Hyde. The screenplay was based on the 1887 stage play, which is only loosely based on the novel, and from which the fiancée, now the daughter of Sir George Carey, the later murder victim, also originates, and deviated more from Stevenson's novel than any previous adaptation. Utterson's role is barely existent, while the frequently present Carey, in the original just one of his clients who happens to cross Hyde's path at the wrong time, is basically a variant of Oscar Wilde's Lord Henry Wotton from 1890's The Picture of Dorian Gray, who here too, also a sophisticated villain with a cynical outlook, drives the protagonist, an easily manipulated pawn and therefore with less responsibility for his own actions, to ruin. Another Dorian Gray connection is Hyde's progressive mutation with each successive evil deed. His head develops a strange point and his overbite becomes much more pronounced as the movie progresses. Dr. Jekyll is also portrayed here as a young, in the book he's old, handsome, selfless saint, and also contrary to the original turns back to normal after death.
Yes, it's a tradition, they say, like a bright Christmas day, and traditions must go on. And though I say yes I see, no I really don't see, is my smiley face still on? Sign your name with an X, mow the lawn. So when do I get to sing my way? When do I get to feel like Sinatra? When do I get to sing my way in heaven or hell? So when do I get to do it my way? When do I get to feel like Sid Vicious stuff? When do I get to sing my way in heaven or hell?
In Ruben Marmolin's 96-minute version, the fiancée is again Carey's daughter, no trace of Utterson. And Dr. Jekyll is again portrayed as a young, handsome, selfless saint. On his way home with Dr. Lanyon, he rescues the prostitute Ivy and rejects her advances as Jekyll, but frequently haunts her as Mr. Hyde after his experiment and transformation. To ease his conscience, Jekyll sends Ivy money, and when she unexpectedly visits him, he is shocked to see Hyde's abuse on her body and promises her that Hyde is gone. When General Carey is about to announce the wedding of his daughter Muriel and Dr. Jekyll, he is later so enraged by his absence that he forbids her to have any further contact with him. Jekyll turns into Hyde on the way, spontaneously without serum, and strangles Ivy, who thought she's safe now. After its premiere, the unusually liberal at the time movie attracted censorship, and scenes containing violence and erotic references were cut in some US states, and even banned altogether in Germany. For the re-release in 1936, 8 minutes had to be removed. Some sources mentioned 14 missing minutes, which were only reinserted decades later for VHS and DVD. In the end, Hyde is able to get Lanyon to help him turn back into Jekyll, and seeks out to Muriel the following night to set her free, but turns on his way again back into Mr. Hyde, kills her father in the ensuing panic, and flees from the police to his laboratory, where he becomes Jekyll again. When Lanyon reveals him to the police, he turns again into Mr. Hyde, is shot, and turns back one last time.
They'll introduce me, hello, hello. Women seduce me and champagne flows. Then the lights go low. There's only one song I know.
In 1981, Victor Fleming's same-named remake of the 1931 version, in Germany as Doctor and Demon, got rather mixed feedback, but also made more than double of its $1.1 million budget just in the US back.
There, this home which once was serene, now is home to the screams and to flying planes and shoes. But I have no souvenirs of these cracker-jack years, not a moment I could choose, and not one offer that I could refuse.
In what I consider to be a completely unnecessary miscast with Spencer Tracy, overlong 2-hour production, practically identical characters, Carrie is called for reasons Emery, Ivy Pearson, Ivy Patterson, and the same plot, there is no significant physical difference between Jekyll and Hyde. Also new are the surreal dream sequences, the only bright spots apart from the ones from Ingrid Bergman and Lana Turner. While everything else, compared to its predecessor, seems stale, Ivy is now explicitly a waitress, not a prostitute, and unintentionally funny. In the now much weaker, unnecessarily talkative final, in which Hyde is shot by Lanyon, the butler says a few parting words. For the color adaptations since the 1950s, and in my opinion the most faithful feature to the book, see the same name retrospectives.